angry at Jon right now.
Apparently the world's ending.
You ruined everything.
I've ruined everything. Just by existing.
Yep. You're not coming in. Take your mask off.
I was all ready.
For what? To do nothing today while I go through...
Oh, this is not nothing. Looking after you. It's definitely not nothing. This is a test today for me.
I'm delightful.
My monthly test.
Not monthly. We're not using this footage, by the way.
Challenge monthly.
Start again. I don't have anything else to say.
No, you've already said it. You've abused me and you've...
Just ruin everything.
Yeah. Don't say crap like that.
I decided to do a different camera angle today because our videos before I go into the hospital are getting really boring because they're so repetitive.
Camera's
I know.
over. Yeah.
What? I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, going to the hospital is so boring now. I don't even know how many times. This is 13, right?
Because we never got the first time, did we?
Yeah, so that's confused me ever since.
13 plus 1.
Like, going to this, doing this 13 times is just...
This is like your 21st surgery.
I've got to beat that lady. I bet she's after me.
But you're first on the list. So
Yeah, I'm first, so don't... Okay, I gotta go.
No mask.
She'll get one inside. Anyway, I'm gonna go have surgery, so I'll see you later.
Yeah.
You have a nice day.
You go get them. Oh, I just wait with bated breath.
That must be really hard for you. That must be really hard.
I go home and pine for you.
I'm not pining for you. I'm wasted.
Wasted. Well, I will buy you lunch afterwards.
Okay.
Look forward to that.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck.
Good luck, babe.
You ever wonder if days like these last?
The nurse said to me, have you told him how many eggs you got?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I make him wait.
Yeah. Well, I've gone out and got groceries and...
So you should. My nose is red. Okay, so...
What did you do with your hair?
Not quite a baker's dozen. But...
Holy shit!
12. A new personal best.
That is. All that worry about the new doc? She even beat Lynn?
Well, yes. I still have a feeling that there might be a few immature because there was some small follicles.
That's fabulous.
But I think we'll be up there around sort of the 8, 9, 10 mark maybe.
That's awesome.
It might even be over 40 in the bank.
See what happens when you just change it.
Oh God. See, this is what happens when you're manifesting a baker's dozen and I'm manifesting 2. We get 12.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I was
That's
in
amazing.
a lot of pain when I woke up. And they were like, oh, it's because you got so many eggs. And I'm like, what? I mean,
She's probably giving you a good thing too.
Yeah. They wouldn't give me any pain meds, so I just burst into tears until they gave me some. They're like, you can have a Panadol. And I'm like, Panadol?
Are you
Actually, I did wake up. I was in a lot of pain.
Why didn't did they not look at previous?
Well, it's just this thing,
surgeries?
because I've done this so many times, I just knew. I woke up and I'm like, that's too much pain. And I have been bleeding more than usual as well. I mean, I say that. It's the endometrial scratch too.
Yeah.
So that hurts a bit. But now you can buy me 12 lunches. 12 cookies.
We go there and order there.
Anyway, we should finish the video before we worry about food.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
well done.
a new PB.
Yep. Not long now.
That was a good one to get.
That was well done. Hi there. It seems like everyone's really interested in the protocols we've sort of done to date. And yeah, I'm sort of along for the ride, but I know my lady's been doing all the work.
I know a lot about protocols.
Yeah.
I think it's probably worth saying as well that, you know, while we're happy to share the protocols that we've done, the medications we've taken, everybody's so different, and
Yeah.
you can't really compare, if that makes sense. But I think what is interesting about what we've done is, even though it's not rare to do a lot of IVF cycles, I think it's pretty rare to do like what it'll be 15 in less than 2 years. So we've, in a way, our ability to compare cycles is really obvious because we've done it in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, because we could recall pretty much.
Yeah, and also just my body
Each and
hasn't
every
changed
part.
much in 2 years. Like I haven't aged that much and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? But yeah, it's like everybody's different. And
Yep.
I was going to say as well, one of the things I think affected how, well, actually one of the things that is important to note is that it depends what your diagnosis is. Because with us, our aim was just to get a lot of eggs. We didn't really have a concern about egg quality. We just, because we needed a lot for John's microtesies, we were just trying to produce eggs, and it was frustrating because it took us a long time to figure out protocols that actually would, I just was not a big producer of eggs, and who knows, maybe that's lucky, or, you know, you never know until you have the end result.
We
right?
kind of have talked about maybe it's quality over quantity. And
Yeah. Whatever you got to tell
whatever-
yourself to get
whatever
yourself
to
through.
get yourself through.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're going to go through our 15 cycles. And yeah, you only need that one.
Well, yeah.
So we started off super naive, and we just went in and we said, all right, give us what you've got, whatever you want to put us on. And it's worth mentioning as well that I was on the pill quite consistently before that. And when we first started doing your diagnosis and stuff, I went off the pill right away. So I was off the pill for almost a good year before doing this first cycle. But I do think it's possible that just me coming off the pill and my hormones balancing again might have been the whole thing that made the difference by the time we got to the last cycles where it started working. Potentially the first few cycles, it was just my hormones were a bit out of
when
whack.
it's working, it was just, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And when we say working, it just means we were getting a few more eggs.
working is a relative term, isn't it?
No,
It's like
yeah.
at the start we thought it wasn't working, and then when we got what we would have been disappointed with at the start, we were happy. Like, yeah, it's messed up. Okay, go.
All right, so
Cycle 1. You go.
You told me to read.
You go.
Cycle 1, Menopur 337.5 and Orgalutran 250. We cancelled that one and we actually moved doctors.
Well, yeah, because we got I had 6 follicles showing at the first scan, and that we were really disappointed with. We weren't expecting that. Ironically, later that would have actually been a good result.
And we were actually around that stage. We were quite naive, I guess, with regards to the microtesting and stuff. So with that cycle 1, we thought we were going to do that cycle, have loads of eggs. I was going to have my procedure. We were going to put it together. So this was going to be all done and dusted.
We were going to be done.
Anyway, we switched.
The reason we switched doctors was that our first doctor wasn't very interested in trying anything different and didn't really have a plan that adapted to the fact that we needed to do a microtesy, we needed lots of eggs, and I wasn't delivering a lot of follicles. So we took about 2-3 months off, and that's when we really did our research, and we looked at all the different doctors and made a decision to go to our doctor, which I know a lot of you know who our doctor is. So
And I guess from our point of view, we were just trying to work out how this microtesy worked. Because the more research we did, we went, oh, well,
thank God we didn't go through that with that first cycle.
Because that would have been me done.
We would have not had any success at all and this is that whole thing about sometimes,
or any potential at all.
Yeah, sometimes what you think is your worst day can actually be your best day. Because back when this cycle got cancelled, I'm like, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen. But looking back now, I'm like, if we'd gone through with that cycle, we would have blown the whole thing. So lucky that went wrong. Because then we switched doctors and we found somebody who was willing to try out different things. And the first thing that doctor did, that she did, was she actually looked at the first cycle that we did, which is kind of what you'd expect a doctor to do rather than just going, okay, try this. So she looked at the previous one and went, okay, let's try something different. So then cycle 2 we did.
Cycle 2 was gonal F, 300 units, Pergovirus 150 IU per mil, Orgalutran 250 micrograms, and pregnal 10,000 IU was the, what do you call it?
The trigger.
Trigger.
Yeah. So I get him to say this bit because he's a paramedic. He knows the IUs and the...
I feel
I
a little, because she's left off a lot of the stuff that I would put there. But anyway, number of eggs collected was 6, and 3 of those actually made it to the freezer. So this was actually a big learning curve then too, because we just thought 6, magic, no problems at all. But we didn't realise we were waiting on a call to tell us that.
We were so innocent back then.
To tell us that only 3 of them had actually made it.
But also that second cycle made us realise, okay, 6 was what came up in the first cycle, 6 is what came out in the second cycle. So actually, that's kind of what my body was doing at that time. And either that was just because of that's how I responded to the meds, or maybe it was that I was coming off the pill, or maybe my body, like, what I do remember is when I was coming off the pill, I had bad skin. So I was getting bad skin. And so I had a feeling that my hormones weren't really working really well because I was having this hormonal acne, essentially. And always just under here, which was really weird. And that went on through these first 2 cycles.
And it wasn't shaving rash.
No. Looked like it though. It was horrible. But it was more just like I knew something was out of balance with my body. And when I see these results now, hindsight is an amazing thing. When I see these results, I'm like, oh, that's probably
your
what
body
happened.
was still going through a massive
detox.
change.
Yeah.
Massive change.
So,
all right.
okay, we're going
to punch through these, yeah? Cycle 3, all right. Bemfola, 450 IUs per mil. See, what would have been good here is actually to know whether these were in the morning and night when you actually did the injections. So just an idea. Decapeptyl, 100 mics for 7 days only.
Yeah, that's a short one.
And Orgalutran was 250 micrograms. And the pregnal... again, the trigger was 10,000 IUs. I'm pretty sure that was...
the trigger was the same the whole way through, so we might just not mention that anymore. The 10,000 IUs is a double shot, so it's an extra strong one, probably for like geriatric mothers like me.
Yeah. And we saw what was possible there. We ended up with 3 eggs that cycle.
So it got worse.
Only 2 of them.
It got worse. But we always try to approach it as, okay, every time we take action, we learn something. So as painful as it was, we were like, okay, we know something else that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
And our success rate was actually higher, 66% rather than 50%.
A very positive
but anyway,
way to look at it.
Cycle 4, Bemfola. Bemfola, we dropped that to 300 IUs per mil. The Orgalutran was 250 mics. The Orgalutran is a pre-filled syringe. I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah.
And again, pregnal, 10,000 IUs. Cycle 4 brought us 3 eggs and 3 mature.
And I think probably
they made it to the freezer. Yeah.
What she did that time was she let me go on longer, and I got more to like a 20-day cycle, which meant that we were able to make the eggs that I was producing, we were able to keep more of them because more of them were mature, but still we didn't really feel like we had our kind of magic potion. And so we just went in and asked our doctor again, and she was great about thinking about what else we could do. Yeah, I didn't put that on.
All right.
Cycle 5.
We'll just make it up. All right, so cycle 5, Puragon, 300 units, and Minipur, 150 IU, and Orgalutran 250 mics.
I'm pretty sure, I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure he collected 3 eggs then and kept 2 of them. So we were still just really, and we needed...
It was the grind, man.
It was the grind. And we were told we needed at least 20 before we could go ahead with the microtesi, which made sense to us.
Yeah, that was,
So we were like, oh, okay, we just, so we had like a
Yeah,
handful of
my
eggs.
doctor was saying that you needed at least 20, and God, this was just taking forever.
Yeah, and financially and emotionally
yeah.
and physically, like I was getting tired. So then we went into
Cycle 6.
Cycle 5.
No, we've done cycle 5. You just said
I
that.
will say about cycle 5 though, one of the things that was interesting about it is that there were quite a lot of follicles that were recruited. So even though we only got, I think we got, actually now that I'm thinking of it, we got 5 eggs and only 3 of them made to the freezer. So for us that felt like a loss at that time, but in a moment we went back and looked at it and there was actually quite a lot of follicles in that one. So cycle 6.
Cycle 6. Puragon, 225 units. Elonva, 150 mics per mil, only.
That's the big mama on day 1 or day 2.
Menopur, 150 IU, and Organotern, 250 mics with a trigger of 10,000.
Yeah, so this was really souping it up with the Elonva. We thought that might really jack it up a little bit. And
we ended
from
up
our
with
perspective,
5.
it did.
It was good. Five eggs collected and 4 made it to the freezer.
So for us, 4 felt like the biggest win we'd had so far. So we were like, okay, this is our protocol. This is as good as it's going to get.
Yep. And then we went to cycle 7.
And we repeated it again because we were like, we figured out our magic potion. We're going to get 4 eggs each time. Woohoo! Like,
that's right. Elonva, 150 mics per mil, once only. Puragon 225, Menopur 150, and the Pregnal 10,000.
So we repeated it exactly the same, and what happened?
Number of eggs collected was 3, and only 1 of those made it to the freezer. So it actually, to date, was our worst, apart from that cancelled cycle.
So we just had, with the same protocol, our best cycle and our worst cycle. And this is where the psychology came into it, because this is where we had to really, really stop and have a look at what was going on. Because we were like, okay, we can keep doing this, which we thought was our best protocol, but it was also our worst protocol. And again, we're still only talking about egg numbers. We're not even talking about egg quality. But instinctively, I kind of knew that low egg numbers probably suggest not great egg quality as well. So I'm freaking out about that. So we booked another appointment and went back in and saw the doctor. And we said, let's really look at this. We have data now. Let's look at this objectively. And I was doing everything else as well. The supplements, the, meditation, like everything that we could possibly do to try and get these numbers. So when we got that 1 egg, it was that was a really hard moment. But we look back at it now and consider it actually, again, one of our best moments because we took different action then and we thought about it differently. We went back to the doctor.
We had to make a change. It wasn't working.
It wasn't working. And this was about a year at this stage that we'd been doing it. And we were like, we're not going to get to our goal. And when you're in it, it's very easy to look back with hindsight. But when you're in it, we were just like, we don't know what to do.
And this is where you started the priming and the...
Well, we went back in and saw the doctor and we said, can you look at these cycles really carefully and try and figure out what's the magic, what's the hidden piece of information in here that we're not seeing? And we said, what we thought was our protocol is clearly not our protocol.
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, so we went in and she was great because she had a look at it all, which is what you want your doctor to do. And she said, well, if we kind of forget about how many eggs were collected and how many were mature, which we kind of were fixing because she was letting the cycles go longer and I was doing like 20-day cycles, we actually looked back at cycle 5 and we went, hang on a second, cycle 5, even though we didn't actually get a lot of eggs into the freezer at the end, there were much more follicles. There was like a good, decent number of follicles. It's just that on that particular retrieval, we didn't get as many. And actually, it wasn't my doctor who did the retrieval. And who knows, maybe something else went wrong with that. So we decided to try cycle 5 again because we were like, there's more follicles there. There weren't more eggs and there weren't more mature eggs, but there was more follicles. And we were like, that's more potential.
And
right?
It might have been around the timing as well, the timing of our retrieval because of the follicles and potentially they still had eggs in them that didn't make it. And... So
instead of looking at eggs, we started looking at follicles. And that change in thinking ended up being kind of the magic bullet for us. Because going, okay, well, in the end, you can't have eggs if you don't have follicles. So the more follicles we have, the more potential we have to retrieve both number of eggs and quality of eggs. So the next cycle we did go.
I'm pretty sure you did testosterone priming.
Oh.
Estrogen priming.
Well, actually, I also did the estrogen priming at
yes, that was
cycle
what
5.
brought it in.
So
So estrogen priming
we
and
did
testosterone.
Testogel,
Yeah.
which was a topical,
Yeah.
so we did a whole repeat of that cycle 5, which was Testogel priming, and then what's it called? Prognova?
Prognova,
Yeah, which is again just an estrogen priming. So we did that exactly the same again that we'd done on cycle 5, which actually hadn't given us a lot of eggs, but had given us a lot of follicles. So what happened then?
Well, you didn't say.
Okay, so we did the
So
Puragon.
cycle 8, Puragon was 300 units, Menopur was 150 IU, and the Orgadutran was 250 mics. But I will say that you were doing the priming as soon as you'd had your...
The estrogen priming made a big difference. And that was the cycle where we retrieved 10. Is it 10? Well, and we kept 9, I think.
Yeah.
No, or 11. You can go back and watch the cycles. But the main thing was that suddenly we weren't getting 1, 2, and 3 eggs.
Yeah.
We suddenly retrieved 10, 11. And we kept like 9 of them. So this was a revelation for us because we were like, okay, this probably suggests better egg quality. And we just have the numbers now that we need. And that was just like, it was huge because we took a risk by going back to a protocol, which at the time we thought wasn't that great. But because we started looking at follicles as opposed to eggs.
And because we just compared them to all the others. So it was just like, right, let's give this a go. And I think the priming was a bit of a game changer for you.
And it's also like what we thought, during cycle 5, we thought what we retrieved then was a low number, but compared to all the others, compared to cycle 7 where we got 1, it actually turned out to be better. So it was a change in thinking. And that was the thing that made the difference for us. I think also potentially maybe it was just the pill got out of my system a bit more, or maybe, a whole lot of stuff might have changed as well. But we sort of, if we had to guess, we attribute it to that change in thinking. So.
And this has been basically the protocol we've been able to use in the lead up to my second microtesy.
So then we did 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and currently 15 with this new protocol. And we've been retrieving 10, 9, 8, 10, 11, those kind of numbers ever since, which was enough to get us from A to B, which if we'd kept retrieving 1, 2, 3...
We're kind of hoping it was going to put us in a better position than where we were for my first microtesy.
So while, you can look at the medications and stuff like that, that's really your doctor's job. What I think is important to take from this is the thinking. Because the way we thought about it, and really, genuinely, the 2 lowest points in our whole IVF journey
were the things that worked for us.
Were the things that made us think differently, which then helped us find the thing that worked for us. And it's so hard to say that flippantly because sometimes the worst thing you go through with IVF is a loss or, no fertilization or, really hard stuff. And so it's hard to say, turn your worst moments into your best moments. But when you've got nothing else, it's kind of all you can do really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that day when we got 1 egg, after a whole cycle of 20 days of stimming, it felt like a low point. But if we just... It was
rough to watch, that was.
Yeah, if we just stuck with that protocol all along, we would have still been retrieving 1 and 2 eggs. So find a doctor who's willing to work with you in this way. We're grateful to our doctor because she did try different stuff.
Yeah, they're both really persistent, so...
Jon's doctor and my doctor, not the first doctor. I thought you were going to punch him in the face that day. John doesn't get angry, but that day I was like, ugh. So I hope that answers the questions that people have been asking us about protocols. And I really hope you take from it not so much about the medications and the dosages, but about the way to think about it.
I think recording has been the big thing too. We've been able to compare and we've chatted about it. We've talked with our doctors and here we are.
Yeah, and who knows what it'll lead to, but at least we're giving it our best shot.
Yeah.
Good luck. I know it's hard.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
It's really hard.
You ever wonder